we all hear, you know, the Department of Health and the preliminary injunction side, but we're here to share the stories of the people who are being impacted, like myself and all of the speakers you'll be hearing from. Um, as a person with a disability, I became disabled at 15 years old and have utilized the CDPAP program to stay independent in the community for the last about 20 years. And I am one person with a disability, and there's thousands, if not tens of thousands, of consumers right now experiencing the fear, the anxiety, and um, the uncertainty of how their caregivers are going to get paid and are they going to stay for them for the next shift. Um, so my experience, um, I've been one of the loud ones. So the Department of Health and PPL, really went after making sure that my problems were solved, and I still have problems. Currently, we're using the telephony and the app to track our time, and if you have an overnight shift, um, 4 of the 12 hours that my PA works disappear every single night. And when I call PPL constantly every morning. Some techs don't know what they're doing and they escalate it to supervisor and the supervisor say they're going to call you back and no one ever does. Um, I call back the next day and escalate it with my facilitator and no one gets back. It's a complete mess. And there's many others with cognitive disabilities or older New Yorkers who have no idea what technology or how to manage this technology. And they're expecting many of the consumers who have been successful in this program for decades to learn this new process without any training. Not the department, not PPL. No one has trained us how to do this. Now we're HR. They're expecting us to be human resources for PPL when they're contracted and paid $9 billion to do this. This is going to cause many individuals with disabilities and seniors to fall out of the program. And we're just basically afraid. And it's not fair to us.
Yeah.
I could continue on and on, but I want to, give time for others to speak and share their experience. And next speaker is going to be Tara Murphy.
Hi, Jose. Thank you. So I'm Tara Murphy. I've been a career caregiver through CDPAP for 25 years. CDPAP was 5 years old when I started, and it was the most amazing thing I've ever been part of. We were getting people out of nursing homes and long-term care facilities and getting them back to their families in their homes, in their communities, working, living life, enjoying all those freedoms able-bodied people do. And it's become my passion in life. I've never witnessed such mismanagement and such mistrust and anxiety that I have with PPL. I never received anything in writing. I was basically told by my former FI, here's a website, go sign up. I had to navigate that all on my own. I signed up February 21st. It was a Friday. I called on Monday. I got a case with a supervisor for a call back. I never got a call back until 4/28/25. I missed the call because it was from an Arizona number. I tried to call that number back. It was dead. I got a pay stub in the mail for $0 for an EVV training of 0.25 hours. And we're talking PPL is supposed to save money. And it's severe mismanagement and a gross waste of funds to print pay stubs for $0 and send checks for $0 to how many people? It's absolutely disgusting. PPL does not pay. PPL has a ghost office, obviously in Albany, that we're aware of. I have never witnessed this kind of mismanagement. The technology is archaic at best. I finally did get a call back from a supervisor yesterday, and I put it on speakerphone with my consumer and his wife. They have a case that's 196 hours a week with two double assists daily for his Hoyer transfer. PPL told us that they didn't receive anything from his managed long term care company. They didn't have his care plan, which we know is a lie because we wouldn't have been able to register if they didn't have that. I wasn't paid by PPL this week. I don't know if I'm going to be paid by PPL. I was in a relationship with my previous consumer who passed away, and I was homeless for a while. And I lived in my car for 2 weeks. I finally am in an apartment that I can afford and a car that I can afford, but I've had to make bi weekly payment arrangements with my car company. And if I don't make that payment next week, I lose my car. And that's my plan B if I lose my apartment, because my apartment is on a month to month lease. If I pay, I stay. If I can't pay, I can't stay. So now my plan B is gone, which is my car. And I can't get into a homeless shelter in Albany because there's a waiting list in there for domestic abuse sufferers. So I'm thrown out to the side like garbage if I can't pay. So that's where I'm at. And I know I'm not the only one. I am just here to share my story and be part of the fight. And I pass it back to you, Jose.
Thank you very much. We're gonna go right into our next speaker, Don. We're gonna go into our next speaker, Don.
Yeah. Hi, can you hear me now? Can you guys hear me?
1 minute. Yeah, we can hear you. We're
Okay,
gonna highlight you. Can you turn on your camera?
I thought it was. Tell me how. I don't know how to do that. I
There
suck at
should
all this.
there should be a button that looks like a camera on the bottom.
Okay. Is
There
it
you go.
is it on? Nope. Now you're seeing. Can you see me now?
Yes.
So I started this process for my son. He was a CDPAP person since he was a teenager. He's in his 30s. On February 22nd, I started this process. Um, I was given a identification code, an ID number that was for somebody else. I made 19 phone calls with only 0 being returned. I had 6 emails to PPL, never returned. I have not received a paycheck. Um, I've left numerous phone messages, never received a call back. I have notes. I brought them. These are all my notes from all the calls and stuff. I This whole process has cost me hours of my life and stress. I'm very fortunate that my son is verbal and can understand all of this. And the anxiety it has caused him because he lost 3 staff members is insane. I have become his 24/7 care person because I couldn't get anybody else approved. I couldn't even get him approved. I didn't get approved until last Saturday, and no one even called me to tell me. I called every day, and when I called, they said, "Nope, nope, you have to call DSS." I want to know, when am I getting paid for all the hours of work that I did for PPL to get myself approved and get through this process? And that doesn't count the hours my husband did on his end because he's Michael's DR. I really feel PPL has dropped the ball. I feel that Governor Hochul just decided to throw everybody into the wind and to save money, but she's saving money by the backs of us, the people who need the services, and it's not fair. It's not fair to my son and thousands of people who are suffering mentally, emotionally, physically, not to mention the people who are not receiving the care that they need. And I'm thankful that the media is now finally starting to listen to what we have to say, because this process isn't saving anybody money. It isn't saving anybody emotional stress, and it's affecting the young people that we take care of and the elderly.
Thank you, Don.
You're welcome.
Um, this process, as you can see, has been, filled with so many mismanagement from the Department of Health and from PPL, and people aren't getting paid. People are scared. Um, it's just been a bad process, and it's not fair to us, and many people with disabilities are suffering right now. We're gonna move on to Kim Conway, but before we do, we're going to play a video that was released from the Department of Health.
Our plan will deliver better home care service. If you're a CDPAP home care user, you can keep your trusted caregiver. If you're a caregiver, it'll be easier for you to get paid. New Yorkers will get better care and better service at a better price. That's the truth.
Kim,
Yes, hi.
you're-
Yep, I'm unmuted now. Can you hear me on your end?
yes,
Okay, great.
take it away. Tell us your story.
Okay, so my name's Kim Conway. I have my mother-in-law and my father-in-law were in the CDPAP program. They're both 95 years old and live in the same home. My mother-in-law has severe dementia and is unable to do anything at all independently. My father-in-law is more alert than she is, but has extreme physical disabilities from arthritis, from years of working in construction, and is unable to do much for himself as well. He walks with a walker only with assistance because he's very unstable on his feet. Can't do any of his activities of daily living as well. So we entered the CDPAP program because we realized that we needed help, and the family really, really wanted to be part of the care. My husband's one of 6 kids, and everybody really wanted to pitch in and help. The PPL process has been a disaster for us. I have been very lucky that between family and the aides that we have found, we were able to find great aides. And my in-laws have gotten amazing care at home. They have had minimal falls. They've had minimal hospitalizations since the CDPAP program started for us about a little bit over a year and a half ago. But now it's all changed. My aides cannot take the cut and pay that PPL has given them. They went from making almost $22 an hour now to making 19 and change. They're very, very concerned about the health insurance that is mandated that they take, and the parity is apparently paying for, that they don't want, because then they are at risk for losing their own health insurance. So that's a huge issue, as well as myself. I have a full-time job. I'm a school nurse. I just can't take that risk. So I can't be a caretaker of my in-laws now. It's just so unfair to all the people that are trying to help us. So I have lost multiple aides because of this. The sign-up process was unbearable. Our FI told us, wait, don't do it yet. We waited until I guess March 1st, and then we said we have to do it. We have no choice. This is happening. Let's do this. None of us could get on the system. My husband's the DR and could not get on the system at all. He is now on the system. My in-laws, my mother-in-law is on the system. We switched my father-in-law out of CDPAP because we just couldn't do it anymore with him, and we couldn't find caregivers. We are unable to find caregivers at all at this point. Our caregivers all have left to do PCA services through the agencies that they can get better pay at, and to be assured that they get pay. So it took me probably over 50 phone calls to get through to PPL. The only way we got through was on the Spanish line. All the information that we got was received through a Facebook group with CDPAP consumers and caregivers, which we don't even know if everything is fact, but that's how we learned how to sign up for PPL. That's how we learned what documents. The DR and the family never received any instructions on how to register themselves. They never got the video to watch for the Time for Care app. The PAs all got that, but the DR never even knew that he was supposed to approve the time. The only way I knew and was able to share that was because of a Facebook group, which is so unacceptable for a company that's supposedly the only company in New York State taking over for this. I just don't understand how it's possible. If I didn't call every single solitary day, over and over and over again. And again, I only got through on the Spanish line, not on the English line. And then my aides would not have gotten paid last week. And as it is, most of their pay was paid, but only because I spent almost my entire school day while I'm at work trying to take care of kids here on the telephone with PPL trying to make these phone calls. They don't return phone calls. They tell you, hang up, we'll return your call. They don't return calls. You email, they don't even acknowledge you emailed them. They don't return your emails. Now, this week is a whole different story. None of my overnight aides are being paid for their shifts. They work 12 or 16-hour shifts. Every one of them has been denied. On the overnight, it says that it's more than 24 hours in one day, which is not. We've counted the hours. It's not more than 24 hours in one day. And I called, and I actually, after lots of phone calls, to get through again on the Spanish line and spoke to them twice yesterday. I spoke to somebody, and both times they said a supervisor will call me back. No callbacks. My aides, my overnight aides called. Nobody's ever called them back. Right now, all the overnight aid shifts are being denied. So if they work 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., the midnight to 7 a.m. part is usually being approved, not always, but the 7 p.m. to midnight portion of it is not being approved. No reason given. I mean, I'm sure every single overnight aid in New York State right now is having the same problem. They're not approving them. They also told me that PPL doesn't allow aides to work more than 13 hours. Nobody ever gave us that information. Some of our aides work 16 hours. I'm sure there are aides out there that work 24 hours. At this point, unfortunately, I chose, for my own and my aides' sanity and financially, we chose to have to move over to PCA services. And as of Monday, I'm no longer in the CDPAP program, which kills me because myself, my sister-in-laws, my brother-in-law, we were all CDPAP caregivers for my in-laws. We moved him to a different Medicaid program, and we're moving her to PCA services through MLTC. It just, the aides are unable to sign up for PPL. They're not getting paid. Their salaries were lower. It was just, I've never seen anything like it. You know, if you look on any of the groups looking for assistance, there's so many families now that can't find personal assistance now for their loved ones because the aides are all leaving. Why would they work for a company who's paying them less than they were making with no guarantee of actually getting paid? So that's my story. I'm sad. I'm so sad that I'm not going to be able to care for my own in-laws now. I'm a school nurse. I'm off all summer. I'm available to work and care for them in the summer. Now I can't do it. Now I'm in the hands of caregivers, you know, that hopefully will be taking care of them under my supervision, but not quite under my supervision. So I think PPL is a disaster. I think it's criminal what they've done to families and to caregivers, especially to my caregivers. I can't blame them for leaving, but it's awful. It's a terrible thing for it's sad enough that elderly people in the United States don't have access to quality care that they can afford. But now you're taking away the ability for family to care for them. I think it's disgusting.
Thank you.
That's my story. Sorry.
Thank you very much, Kim. The Department of Health promised that our trusted caregivers would be available to us and no one would be left behind. And I'm sorry that you have to experience that.
I'm
We're
sorry.
going, yep. We're going to move on to our next speaker, Heather, and her daughter's PA, Rebecca.
Thank you, Jose. I live in Rochester, New York, and I have 4 children with different levels of disability, and Devin has 24-hour needs. So I'll back up just 1 minute and share that I used to work at a 500-bed nursing home, and we use CDPAP all the time. That's how we got people out of the hospital. And so not only do I worry about Devin, but I worry about all those people that I helped escape the nursing home. They were stuck, right? And now with the promise of CDPAP, we could get them back in the community. And I had to go to a funeral last week. A good friend of mine had been in the community living very successfully, but this process has been so difficult. And as his needs got a little more complex and this process became so chaotic, his caregivers left. And I had a discussion with him and he said, Heather, if I go back to the hospital, I don't have caregivers at home and they won't discharge me. And I'll go back to the nursing home and I will not go back. And he did die in his home in his 30s. And it didn't have to happen. If the system had been rolled out in a safe way, we could have made sure that the most complex people, the people without a safety net, wouldn't be put in this position, because most caregivers aren't going to work for free. They're not going to work on the promise that maybe they'll get paid. As everybody else has said, they don't make a lot to begin with. My daughter has 9 to 10 caregivers at all times. When she has a seizure, she stops breathing. They need to be an arm's length away from her, and they need to be awake and alert and able to give her medication. PCAs can't do what CDPAP attendants can do. I can't even switch to that program. Self-direction staff they're not allowed to administer medications. This is quite literally the only program that my daughter qualifies for that can save her life. The only other option is to move her into a nursing home or a group home, and there's no room. Not that I would ever do that to her. She's 18 and she deserves to be in her family home with the people she loves, being part of society. I know what happens to people in nursing homes. I worked in one for 7 years. I will do everything I can to keep her out of that situation. And what I want people to understand is watching that commercial by the DOH commissioner makes me nauseous. He makes it sound like the people who are trying to help us are the ones that are the bad guys. He villainizes the actual people who have been supporting us for years and tells us that this new company that they're hiring is going to be so great. Google them. We all knew they were a train wreck. Every state has fired them. So why did New York pick them? Like, you have to deal with that in your head and say, okay, they did pick them. I have to move forward. In the middle of February, we started the process. Everybody's paperwork has been in for almost 2 months at this point. But guess what? Out of 9 caregivers, 1 got paid. 1 this pay period. I've been on the phone so many times with the DSS office. Guess what? They put me on speaker and I helped the entire leadership at my local DSS understand the process, because who didn't tell them? DOH. Nobody had informed them what the process is. My facilitator, same thing. They are desperately trying, but no one can fix the errors that are in the system. The overnights, I'm a designated rep. I'm supposed to sign off on my daughter's hours. I can't even log into the system. I have to log in as my daughter to try to verify hours that are never right. There are thousands of people who got paid an exorbitant amount of money, the wrong amount. Like, they paid them for 40 hours when they worked 3. And then there are people who worked 60 hours and only got paid for 3. Tell me that this system was ready to roll out. It's the opposite. With me today, I have Rebecca. She's a nursing student. She's newer to our team, but she has that experience of onboarding with our old FI compared to what PPL has been. So I'm going to turn it over to her. But one last thing to think about. At one point, DOH was saying to us, pay your aides out of pocket and we'll reimburse you. I live in Rochester, so the wage is different than some areas, but my aides make $18.10 an hour, and my daughter has 24/7 needs. That'd be $13,000 a month that the DOH is asking me to pay and hope they pay me back.
Thank you, Heather.
Mhm.
Well, my name is Rebecca. I'm working towards a nursing degree and I work as a caregiver for Devin. I'm here not only as a caregiver, but as someone who believes in the dignity of every patient and the existential role of our workplace. I joined Devin's team because I grew up in a home where I had 2 autistic siblings, my older sister Hannah and my younger sister Isaac, and I love them to pieces. I wouldn't change anything about them for the world. Um, it has truly been an honor working for Devin and with Heather and the entire team. It has been, I love this job so much, truly. I feel like this was my passion Like, I feel like this is what God put me on the earth to do, is to help people. And it's devastating that I might have to walk away from this job just because this is happening. Like, my name was misspelled in the system when I first started PPL, and it delayed my onboarding by almost a month. And like, because of the simple typo, neither the facilitators or PPL could fix it without submitting an IT ticket, which takes way too long. I had like communication failures. It's hard to even get on the phone with someone at PPL. If I do get on the phone with someone, they're so quick to hang up on you. They won't answer any questions. They're just as clueless as us. They don't know what's happening. It's it's honestly ridiculous. It's sad that this is happening in 2025. We're fighting for civil rights here. Like, people are dying, and it makes me tear up because these are people and we're not treating them like they're people. It's it's devastating to me, truly. Um,
Thank you.
mhm.
Uh, so I'm sitting here listening to the stories, and I get an email from the CEO of my former fiscal intermediary. They're one of the originals. They started the program 40 years ago, and we're losing sleep over this. And I've helped so many people try to navigate this, and it is overwhelming. We are scared for the consumers of the program. And, these are all my friends. These are all people that I consider, family. We're in this together, and we're losing because PPL is failing us. The Department of Health dehumanized us and made us numbers. They don't care about who we are. My name is Jose. Heather's daughter is Devin. I have friends, Yesenia, Leda, Carmelo, and Anthony. These are all people that are being affected by this, and we just need your help. We need the media to really share our stories out there. Yes, I want to thank the court and, the lawyers for bringing on the preliminary injunction, but it does nothing for people who are already enrolled in the program and dealing with glitch after failure, after non-payment. And I want to give a lot of credit to the PAs that are still in this, and providing services to consumers like me that are dedicated, but for how long? And once they leave, what happens to us? If we are going to a facility, many people with disabilities fear facilities more than they fear death.